Our next guest is also saying that implementing the tariffs could come down to having to pursue alternative means, especially given the recent Supreme Court rulings trying to limit the use of executive power. Raymond James Managing Director, Washington policy analyst Ed Mills is with us. Ed, first of all, your reaction to the sort of string of events here over the past, call it 15 hours on China.
I think it's absolutely what you would have to expect, Kelly. When the president has been told one of his tools is going to be taken away, he's going to go into his toolkit and going to go after China harder. You look at what he has been doing with China since his first administration. All of these tech restrictions are things that he started. Biden continued. He is going to ramp that up. You have a lot of China hawks in his administration. In Trump 1.0, I used to look to the Hill and see what Senator Marco Rubio was doing, because 3 to 6 months later, that's what Trump was doing. Now, Marco Rubio seems to have almost every job in this administration. You better believe he is in his ear. You have Howard Lutnick, who is a China hawk. Peter Navarro, China hawk. All of these restrictions are coming, and it is about trying to get China to allow us to get those rare earth minerals that we need for our industrial capacity. If we don't have access to that, 6 months from now, Kelly, we're not going to be able to make a car. We're not going to be able to make an airplane. We're not going to be able to make a lot of our missiles that we rely upon. This is a really critical issue. Expect Trump to ramp this up even more.
Yeah, we just heard some rhetoric from J.B. Diamond kind of in that vein. We'll get to that, Ed, in a second. But in other words, you're saying that the change in tone, the more aggressive tone towards China from the administration, is in direct response to the Supreme Court trying to limit what they're doing on tariffs, and not so much in response to what's been making the rounds in the markets, this taco trade idea that, you don't actually have to worry about the president doing something that would be market unfriendly.
Yeah, Kelly, I'm a believer of both and. I think that there is a direct response to these tariff announcements by the Court of International Trade, but I also think there is a desire to see what can happen to jumpstart these conversations. I do know that China is very concerned about the Trump administration moving the goalpost. The statements we got out of China today is, let's go back to what was agreed to in Geneva. And I think the Trump administration would say, yes, please. Allow us to import some of these rare earth minerals. Those are really important to us. China spent 3 years negotiating a phase 1 trade deal in the first term. They don't want to be brought into an unending trade negotiation. But in the first term as well, as we were negotiating some of those economic issues, the national security issues continued on a separate track. And the Trump administration always said that was a second track. And I do fully expect, especially after Trump withdrew the AI diffusion rule that was about limiting some of the NVIDIA, AMD chips globally, that he has to replace that with something. We're going to have restrictions on chemicals going into China, on EDA software going into China. All of these things are coming because he needs to get China to the table, because he wants to get them to do a deal, Kelly.